Starting take two in 3, 2, 1, go! Hey there, folks. How you doing? Welcome to Take Two right here on You Got It, the one and only Voices on the Net network. Appreciate you taking the time to join myself and Ronnie as we're here for yet another episode post-mini milestone time. Yeah, we just surpassed our 27th mini milestone, and looking over yonder towards the next one. I know. We are approaching the 300th episode as well. I can't believe it, Ronnie. These shows that are just, they pass us one after the other, which is usually how it works. But they seem to go very quick, though. In our case,
they are going very rapidly.
Yeah. But yes, we are back for yet another episode of the show for all of you. We have a great itinerary, and we're going to get into all of the good stuff. You're not going to want to go anywhere. Ronnie's going to make it official in just a moment. But before we get into everything, if all of you tuned in right now would be so kind, as the great listeners tuned into the network, please visit www.theonthenet.com. That is right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the listeners, will be able to find more information regarding the Voices on the Net Network. All you need to do is go up to the top of the website where you will see the About link. You click it, where you will arrive at a web page providing you everything you need to know regarding the network in thorough detail. Now you can also check out, and probably the greatest features on the website, the podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows. And they are all available on demand for at your very own convenience. And you can check them all out, everything out, by going to www.theonthenet.com. All right, well, can't start the show without having Ronnie making it official. She does it at the beginning of every show, and we're not going to stop that tradition now. So, after trying to live up to what the mini milestones or the milestones provide for the listeners, clearly what we do for the listeners, and we try to give it our all every show, but the milestones are clearly the ones that shine as opposed to all of the other ones. That's not under any speculation, but I like to think of every show as giving it our all as much as we can give. So even though we just passed a milestone, well, let's keep up the pace, why don't we? So, Ronnie, why don't you make it official, as you always do?
Well, we're in the process to making our next mini milestone, but right now we are on episode 271.
Well, there you have it, episode number 271. Thank you, as always, dear. We appreciate that. We have a great show for everyone, and we're going to get into all of the good stuff, but I don't think I asked you this the last episode. Usually I do. I say, I ask, how are you? And I don't believe I asked the last episode, so I'll ask this episode, how are you?
I'm doing great. You know why? Because today actually marks the first day of summer for me.
Really?
Compared to the rest of the United States.
Why is it the first day of summer for you specifically?
Because as soon as you hear kids getting out of school, it's the last day of school, school's out, school's done, and over with, and you got Memorial Day coming up, It's time for summer to begin now.
Yeah, that's usually the first unofficial day of summer, Memorial Day. Everybody goes down to the shore. That's when the lifeguards start doing their jobs at the beach, at least in New Jersey. I would think it would be that way elsewhere, too, but I know in New Jersey, Memorial Day is when the lifeguards, they start doing their jobs, and then Labor Day is when they leave. So that's usually, those are the two marking points there. But, Why
is the most fun and entertainment time is the summertime, and it's the shortest season we have.
Right. Well, because we have to prepare for the beautiful season, fall. I love the fall. You know how much I love the autumn. But yeah, the summertime is one for the books for many people because they party and they have a good time, and it's kind of the time where you just relax and You enjoy the weather. Ever people go away. All of the television shows, which really the good ones, are off the air until the fall, which is when everybody's really back in the groove, back to school, back to work. Now, along the times where we are preparing for just a relaxation period, if you think about it that way, a couple of months of relaxation. And I was checking the Facebook statuses. There are a lot of people heading to the shore this weekend, and people are really looking forward to it because the weather's going to be very nice, and that's always nice. When you have a Memorial Day weekend along with really nice weather, that those are the ingredients for a nice weekend.
And see, I would love to go to the shore. All we have here, a river. That's called the shore for us.
Yeah, well, you guys have camping now in Nebraska.
Yes, we have camping.
Yeah, I love camping. I mean, I love camping. If I could go camping at least once a year, that'd be nice. I
would love to go all the time. At the week, okay, fine at home. But on weekends, no, you go camp and you get away from everybody.
Yeah. See, there are people that I know that can't stand camping. They love the beach.
Really?
They love the beach, but they hate camping. They hate places where there are a lot of trees, dirt, tents, but they love places where there's ocean and sand and volleyball. They love that. So clearly you have two different categories of people, those that love the sand and the water, and those that love, the trees and the dirt and the tent and so forth.
Yeah.
So
I don't mind getting dirty or wet. Either way, it doesn't matter to me.
Right. So I don't mind. We have great places in New Jersey where you could go camping up in northwest New Jersey, some really nice places. And I haven't been camping for a while. It's been quite some time since I've camped last, but like I said, anything can happen, or like I do say regularly, anything can happen, and I would love to go camping this year. I really would. Like I said, I'd like to get that. I'd like to get out camping at least once a year. I mean, you like to get outside. I mean, I used to spend a lot more time outdoors, but I spend a lot of time indoors because I'm always working and so forth. But I'd love to get away and just camp.
Yeah, you just go out there, you relax. You've got the lawn chairs. You can do fishing. In between the mosquitoes and all, but still.
Yeah, that's a part of it, though. It's a whole part of it. The mosquitoes, the bears, the deer, the coyotes. It's a whole part of it. It's like if that wasn't a part of it, it's like, okay, you're going camping, you're enjoying the outdoors. Well, a part of the outdoors includes the bears, the mosquitoes, the coyotes, the water, and so forth. Oh, you don't want to get wet? Well, why are you going camping? You just want...
Yeah.
You're going to bring your laptop? You want to bring your whole house with you to camping? The whole point of going camping is to get away from the house life and the indoor life and to experience what it's like to be out in the open and so forth.
Watch other buddies, tent fly away if they didn't put it up right.
Right. Well, that's another part of it, too. Those that have absolutely no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
They try to survive out in the open. Yeah, I can tell you. But yeah, it is a big time of the year for those in New Jersey, really everywhere. But I know for sure in New Jersey because we have the Jersey Shore, and people are really getting ready to get tan. In other words, and I need to definitely get a nice tan this summer because I'm as pale as a ghost. I am white as can be. Mm-hmm. Probably
I agree. Me too.
The whitest person in the world. I really am.
I could probably glow in the dark. You could probably find me in the dark.
Yeah, so I can't wait. But yes, getting that out of the way. Yeah, as we speak, the 271st episode of the show happens to air on May 26th, 2011, which is really right near the beginning of summer. So looking forward to that. All right, let's get into the first item on the itinerary right here. Let's talk a bit about what we do and what others do in a waiting room. You're going to a doctor, your doctor's appointment, you're going to a dentist's appointment, or you're waiting to speak with a lawyer, or you're whatever. You have a waiting room. There's a few people in the waiting room. It's a room filled with people. Regardless, you're sitting there for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and you're bored out of your mind. So you monitor what others are doing. You monitor what others are doing in the waiting room. If you think about it, people do. It's like a story because I could tell you some things that I've experienced to myself when waiting for a doctor to see me or waiting for a dentist to see me. It's like a story while you're watching everybody else and seeing what they're doing in the waiting room. You have really nothing else to do, Now, luckily, with technology, we could take out our cell phones and we could do just about anything, unless you're still living 10 years ago using a feature phone or a dumb phone where it doesn't have as much capability. Yeah, we know you do, of course. But yes, if you have a smartphone and you play your games, you browse the internet, it's like having a computer by your side. But if you don't use that, what are some other things that people do in the waiting room? You monitor other people, and you can really you'd be surprised, Ronnie, what you see other people doing because you have all of that time waiting to get in to see somebody.
I think one thing that I've done in the waiting room, probably nobody else has done, and I've bedazzled my jeans.
Bedazzled your jeans. Mm-hmm. Now, you would usually do that at home, right?
You would.
Yeah.
But I was bored.
So you take an hour or two out of your day to, clearly you have an appointment to see a doctor, or a dentist, or whomever. You have to go. You have an appointment after all. You would bedazzle your jeans at home normally, but since you're not at home, you're going to spend 2 hours at the doctor's office. You're going to bedazzle them there. Why not, right?
Yeah.
So
I was wearing them at the time. I was doing the bottoms of them, so I'm just bedazzled.
Right. So you figure if it's a part of your day, and it is a part of your day, it's an appointment after all, you knew that appointment was coming up, you could bedazzle your jeans whenever you want, really. You don't have to bedazzle them at the doctor's office, but you could, kill two birds with one stone, get that appointment out of the way while bedazzling your jeans.
Yes, you can. And let everybody sit there watching you like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, but what about monitoring other people? Seeing people are looking at you, probably oddly, looking at you bedazzling your jeans. What is she doing, as you stated? But then you watch other people. If you think that's weird, watching what other people may be doing, whether they're picking in their nose or they're ripping pieces of magazine pages out of each magazine.
Couponing.
All that. Because they feel that, they're there. Well, it's like they're defacing the magazines, preventing other people from reading them. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that as I'm sitting in the waiting room, looking at people. I'm literally looking straight at them, and they see a page with a nice recipe for a steak or a nice Italian meal that they could make at home. Like, ooh, this is nice. Not thinking that somebody else that is going to be walking in 5 minutes later may want to maybe read that ingredient or something, let alone the fact that we have capabilities to access the internet. You can simply remember the name of a steak or an Italian meal and look it up when you get home, right? So, yeah. But you said couponing, too. People do that as well.
What's funny is when you're sitting there and you're listening to people. I don't know how many times I go in there, and you always have two ladies and they're comparing illnesses.
Right. Well, I've always found that if you're of, let's say, what's a safe age to choose here? If you're over the age of 65, 70, if you're elderly, all right, fine. If you're elderly, I've noticed that they do like to talk about sicknesses and illnesses and their bowel movements and their false teeth and the times where they had their kidney, operated on, or they had their gallbladder removed, or they had their tonsils removed. They always like to talk about medical stuff, but in a way where you lose your appetite. You know what I mean?
They start, comparing scars. This is where this was at. This was where that was. Look how big this one is. Look what it did to me. Yeah. It's just funny to listen and do it.
I love you, Grandma. I really do. But yeah, I have to say that she does that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yes, it's just the way it is. And if you're listening, you probably have noticed that yourself. That many elderly people will do exactly that. They'll compare their scars. They'll talk about their past surgeries, their past blood tests, the medication they're on.
Yep.
It's just it's second nature for them. That's what they do. They do other things though. They do live life, but that's just a part of it.
But just in the doctor's offices, when you're listening to them, it's just funny because they compare how long they had to stay in the hospital. Right. Who had it worse?
Yeah. You listen to other people's conversations. I'm glad you brought that up. It's kind of hard not to because the waiting room's only so big. And it's funny because you could tell somebody, and this happened, I was listening to somebody talk to their ex-girlfriend, and he was talking loud. I was sitting next to the guy. He gets up angrily, moves over to the two seats down. It's like, buddy, you're in a waiting room. There are people around. It's only so big. Why are you angry? Why am I angry now? The fact is that it's so big. Don't talk to your ex about problems in a waiting room then.
No.
Duh.
Other people will sit there. I have I've gone probably the past 2 months after I've gone to the doctors and so forth. The one thing that you see people doing is that they're always balancing their checkbooks.
That too. What better place than to balance your checkbook in a waiting room, right?
Yep. They're getting everything together, balancing their checkbooks.
You'd be surprised how many times in life, moments in life or events in life actually give you purpose. Seriously, when I say that, you'd be surprised. And well, working on your checkbook in the waiting room, I'd consider that 110% purpose, Ronnie. I would. I really would. You actually have a reason to balance your checkbook. And how many of you listening right now don't balance your checkbook? Me. Thank you, internet. Thank you, internet. Thank you, bank websites. Who needs to balance their checkbook when you have the internet? So it's like if you really want to take some extra time to balance your checkbook, if you have absolutely nothing else to do, you don't have a smartphone, Ronnie, you don't have anything else to do, well, why not just find purpose and balance the checkbook? Even if you don't have to, really.
Yep.
Right?
That, and they also make their grocery list, what they're going to do when they
leave
the doctors, if they have enough money, of course, in the checkbook after they pay for the doctor bill.
Oh, yeah, true. You know, like I said, you want to pass the time because it seems as if you're waiting a half an hour in a waiting room, it feels like an hour. Add 30 minutes to whatever time you're waiting in a waiting room, and that's the exact time it feels like in a waiting room. You notice that?
Uh-huh. It does. And plus, what I think you're also watching, I do this all the time. I know when I'm there, and I know who was in the waiting room at the time I've arrived there.
Right.
I'm watching to see that those arrived after me are not going ahead of me. You know, they're being called, and I'm still sitting there in the chair.
Right.
You're taking head count.
Yeah, I have witnessed somebody punishing I guess disciplining would be the proper word. Disciplining their kids in the waiting room, yeah. How many times do you see the whole family in the waiting room? Yeah, the whole family. I'm talking about the mother, the father, the grandmother, the uncle, the 3 kids, and it's only so big, clearly. And one of the kids is being rambunctious, and they get a little spanking or they're yelled at, and it's you're trying to relax, you're trying to watch whatever's on the TV in the waiting room, and you notice the family doing what they're doing. They're acting like a family. Duh.
Or you had those that ignore the kids, let the kids go and do whatever they want.
Well, if it weren't for the disciplining, that would probably be the case. Yeah. I would assume, right?
Yeah. I watched a guy that I was laughing so hard I was in tears before I got to go. And my blood pressure was high because I was just laughing. This guy actually had a travel case, okay? He goes into the waiting room. He sits down. Of course, he's checked in. He sits down. And next thing you know, he has this mirror that comes out the side of a case.
Okay.
That's like on an extender.
Right.
Then he gets in there and gets the cream, puts on his face, and he's actually shaving in the waiting room before he goes in.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that at all. I wouldn't. It's similar to when somebody's driving to work. They're killing 2 birds with one stone, shaving while they're driving to work. They forgot to shave. They didn't have enough time to shave at home, so they do it while they're driving. May not be the safest course of action. Shaving in the waiting room is, safer.
Yeah, but there's no water, nothing.
No, I
just
understand
take
that.
this off.
Oh, he didn't have
a foam.
He didn't have a sink. He didn't have a sink with him, Ronnie.
He
went through all that trouble.
He
went through all that trouble, and he didn't bring a sink with him. He should have brought the whole.
Some kind of test something. But I mean, he had a towel. Like he was in a barber shop, and he's shaving, and here's all this foam on his bib or whatever that thing was that he was wearing, and he'd shake it, and he's actually just whistling, doing all this, and the foam is in his hair everywhere. I was laughing so hard with him.
Yeah.
That was probably the most entertainment time I had going to the doctor's office.
Before we move into the associations, I've got a couple of stories for you. One person in the waiting room, I don't know what it was. It was one of those devices you use to exercise. What is it? Was it the P90X is one of them, and then you have Is that what it's called? The P90X? The exercise device that people are using? You know what I'm talking about, Ronnie?
Is that the one that's going between their knees?
Well, the workout exercise device. Is it called the P90 or the PX90? You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's like the PX90 or the P90X. I can't remember the name. P90X or something, I guess. Anyhow, it was one of those exercise devices, and the one person that was waiting in the waiting room was using one of these, literally brought a couple of them with him. He was exercising in the waiting room. He brought what he would be doing at home. He might as well just brought the whole workout room to the waiting room to do it because, well, he was working out in the waiting room. And another guy, let me tell you, brought I guess a carry-away desk, if you want to call it, something that you can, if you're laying in bed or you're sitting, on a couch and you want to, hold your laptop and your paperwork and your notebooks and pens and so forth. He had that portable desk, a laptop, paperwork. He had all of his notebooks. He had a cup full of pens. He had his Dunkin' Donuts coffee there. It's like he was actually sitting in an office, in a cubicle. Yeah, literally, in the waiting room. I was like, gee, you really think you're going to be here that long? Really? So I guess setting all of that up, only to find out you're going to be called into the doctor's office in 30 minutes. I guess you really are desperate to get that done, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah, so I know that was one. Those are two of the experiences that I remember off the top of my head over the last 5 years, that is, that I've noticed other people doing. It's very easy to notice what other people are doing. You could, I guess, compile everybody's waiting room experiences, and I wouldn't doubt if there's already a book out there that has this information, this content. You compile all of the waiting room experiences, and you could probably make quite a bit of money off of the book.
Oh, I bet.
Right.
When you see, I've even done this myself. Polished my fingernails to give themselves.
Well, you're a girl, of course you would.
But hey, it bides time, makes it go by faster, especially if you're sitting there and the doctor gets called away in an emergency and you're stuck there for 2 hours.
I'm not going to go against that. I understand. I've seen people paint their toenails and so forth, and in the waiting room, it's just people do what they do. All right, we got to move into the associations. On this 271st episode of Take Two, right here on the Voices on the Net Network. We have a lot coming up. Don't go anywhere. But we're going to have Ronnie start us off with an association. I know she's got a few over there, so you want to start us off with one?
Yes. In 1999, the United States population surpassed 271 million people.
Yes, it did.
Pretty nice. Look what it is today.
Took mine, darn it. I was going to use that one, but she took it. But yes, it did. And it's amazing because back in 1999 when it surpassed that, if you go to, I believe there's about 306 or 307 million in the United States right now, or the last time they counted. It's in between 306 and 310 million. From 271 million up to 310 million, it doesn't sound like that big of a jump. From back in 99 up until now, 2011. And we're talking about over 10 years here, and it only grew that much. So it doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, we're talking about millions and millions of people here, though. So even if it's 25 million, well, that's 25 million people it's grown. It doesn't sound like a lot because we're talking about years and years. We're talking about over a decade here. So.
Yeah, we've kind of stopped growing as a population.
It has slowed down.
A lot of things that account for that.
Oh, yeah, it has slowed down quite a bit. Actually, there was an article on CNN that I was reading that had to do with, a population slump and people that were worrying about whether or not the United States of America was going to continue being a superpower because of the population slump. And I was reading a couple of the comments and how I feel about it, and so I won't get into it fully, but I just wanted to bring it up that did that's what I had thought of when I had read this association here and so forth. But thank you. Of course, I was going to use it, but there you go. I guess using it for yourself, better you than me, I suppose. All right, let's go into another one here. I've got another one, backup, in other words. And AKG, I'll tell you, is one of the premier headphone manufacturers out there. If you're a broadcaster or you're an audiophile, and you are looking for a great brand of headphones, and I'll tell you, they're a bit expensive. They do make cheaper ones, but they're mainly expensive. The AKG K271 MK2s are great. I actually, I was going to purchase these. But I didn't have enough money, so I had to get the ones I have now. They made a brand. I can't remember it had 271 in it. I wasn't sure exactly what the model number or the brand name or the model number of the brand was, but these are the updated ones from the last one that are noticeably more money than the last one. The AKG K271 MK2s, and they have a closed back a circumaural setup. They also have a mute button so that you take the headphones off and they mute the audio. You know, how many times do you take the audio or the headphones off because clearly you don't want to, you're trying to concentrate on something. Mm-hmm. You can still hear the audio coming through the headphones when you take them off. Well, these have a mute button or a way to mute the audio when you take them off, which is pretty nice, actually. AKG does a great job.
I need those.
Why do you need them?
Because, I'm listening to either music or doing something in the background, doing homework and so forth, and you're putting down, and it just doesn't matter what you could turn off the sound. It doesn't really do a whole lot of good because now you're bored, so you turn it back on, so you kind of put it on even lower.
No, they're $249. They're pretty expensive.
Yeah, true. So. But there's always that, that one.
They are good, coulda, though. Woulda. They do the job extremely well, AKG. I mean, you ask any broadcaster, any voiceover artist, what brand they recommend to you in terms of headphones, I guarantee a majority of them will say AKGs. They're up there. All right, well, do you have a couple of funny laws for us, Ronnie, over there before we head into your stamp of reparation?
I sure do.
All right.
The state of Maine. This is state law, which is subsection code 05-271,
right,
which states you may not step out of a plane in mid-flight.
Yeah.
So somebody must have done that.
Yeah.
Must have been a lot of people that have done that.
I would be willing to bet there are quite a handful of people that have done that in the past, Ronnie. Absolutely. It's just, step out of a plane mid-flight.
Yeah.
When I think of that, I think of skydivers, maniacs, skydivers, crazy people. Skydive. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. If you have a parachute, you're fine. What the heck do you have to lose, right?
Didn't say anything about a parachute. Just don't,
yeah.
I guess that exit sign, don't pay attention to it.
If you don't have a parachute, that's when the skydiver turns into a crazy person. Go on.
Yeah. The second one is in South Berwick City. They have a city ordinance. It's Article 3, subsection 15, line 271. It is illegal to park, JJ, I'm so sorry for this one. It's a good thing you don't live here, in front of Dunkin' Donuts.
It's illegal to park in front of Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Why Dunkin' Donuts specifically?
Because the police station is right next to it.
Ah, well, you're the cop here, not me, so you are insulting your own.
You gotta keep all the space open.
Yeah, that was a very light insult towards Ronnie's own kind. Not from me, from Ronnie. So that's fine. Lucky that she brought that up and not myself. All right, we got to go into Ronnie's stamp of reparation. But before we do that, it is time to thank our sponsor. This portion of the 271st episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com. And we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net Network. Now listen up, because Ronnie and I have one great deal for all of you. You're going to want to listen to what the deal is. One free audiobook, a 14-day free trial. Yeah, 2-week free trial to browse over 85,000 audiobooks and counting. Always adding great titles to the service. Truly a premier service, the best on the internet, the best in the world. Got to try it out for yourself. The auditory experience is a great one. You may be used to holding a magazine up while reading traditionally, word for word, or holding a paperback book, but I'm sure you watch TV or movies regularly. I'm sure you listen to music regularly. Well, that's similar to this, because the auditory experience has somebody reading to you rather than you reading a book, even an e-book. It's different than that. You're reading an e-book only on a device or a computer. This, you're listening to it. Don't think you're lazy because you're going to be doing this. Think of it as an experience in its own way, because that's what it is. I mean, you gotta try it out for yourself. You don't have to risk a dime. You get it for free. A free book, a 14-day free trial, and if you decide to cancel before 14 days is up, you keep the free book. audibletrial.com/take2 right now. audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this offer. You will be glad you did. As always, we thank Audible for their support of Take Two as well as the voices on the network. All right, Ronnie, you've got a few minutes here to give us what you've got, so you've got the mic. Let's see your stamp. Let's see what you have for us for your stamp.
Well, this is going all the way back to April when the tornado, if we all recall, hit Cordova, Alabama. Major outages there. I mean, homes were taken away, people's effects were taken away. And FEMA, as they usually do, bring in temporary homes until insurance kicks in. You know, they're claimed as a disaster area. They're temporary homes until they could become, reestablished in their location. Well, the mayor of this town seems to think that he is, I think he's out of his gourd. I think a lot of other people are thinking the same thing. Because in Alabama and elsewhere, you have a lot of trailer courts that are there. There's, you have double modulars. You have the single trailer homes, which look very, very nice when you decorate on the outside of it. It's not a big deal. Some people do have this myth theory that they think that tornadoes seek out trailer homes, which is in fact not the case. But people's homes were completely wiped away. FEMA brought in single trailer homes just to put it on there temporarily. Well, this mayor wants to ban that. Now, there was a ban in 2008 where he did not allow, he wanted to get rid of that because what he wants to do is, quote, quote, bring up maybe the looks is what he's looking for. There's a lot more looks than anything what he's thinking about. He wants to get rid of anybody that lives in a trailer house. So he's singling out specific people, but they had a meeting. Let me
just add something here, Ronnie. Maybe the self-evident reason as to why these trailers were picked up by tornadoes, well, maybe they were because they're trailers and they don't weigh as much as a house, maybe? Common sense,
I mean, it
perhaps?
doesn't matter where you're at. If you have a tornado that's going through there, it could be a house or anything. If you're going to be in the path of tornado, it's going to take you.
But what's going to have more of a chance of actually being picked up by a tornado? Obviously a trailer park, because it's lighter than a house.
If it goes through there, trailers are actually anchored down to the ground. I mean, that's mandatory to do so. They have the metal planks that goes over and anchors them down. So they're just as safe as anything else. But
I know
you don't
that.
have underground anything.
Right. But if you have a mansion, I go back to that last scene in Twister where the F5 tornado didn't pick up the major house. You were to have a mini trailer, regardless of whether it's anchored down or not, the trailer is going to be pretty destroyed. First off, depending on how well they're made also plays a major role in it too, because some trailers are made out of metal, some are made out of heavier steel, it depends what they're made out of. So it all plays a role in it. Clearly
Everything
size
plays
of...
a role.
Oh, of course.
But when you have FEMA that's bringing in these trailers temporarily, the key word here is temporarily, until these people get back on their feet, insurance kicks in, the new homes are built or whatever. The mayor wants to ban those. They're there with people actually living, lost everything they have, wants to ban them.
Right.
They're already there. People are living in them. There was a meeting that was supposed to be held that he called for a meeting. The fire marshal only limited 100 people to be inside of this building. And then, of course, it required to have a ticket, a pass to get in there. He gave them to everybody else except for the people that are there that it actually pertains to, which are the citizens of the local area. Right. FEMA actually gave some of the people their tickets to be able to come, and later on, of course, they extended it to 200 people. Most of them were out on the streets. They weren't able to go in there to hear what was going on. But he basically brought his own support groups, the police department, the fire departments, his councilmen, and their issues and so forth. The media even was able to come in, and of course the people were not to vote on this. But to toss out when people have lost everything they have at a time that we are facing right now in our country with all of these tornadoes hitting and a complete town's populations wiped off the face of the earth. And he wants to be more picky about what a town looks like via property value. These are their property. They could put whatever they want on there. Now you have a mayor who seems to think he has control over what is going to be put on that property. It's not a matter of it being a trailer, because this is what he states. He's okay if it's a modular home, which are pre-made fabs, double-wide trailers, which cost twice as much as what it's going to cost to put a single on there. Single, double, same thing's going to be on the effect if a tornado hits. He has nothing to do with safety here. He's only looking at what beautification. But you know what? A tornado went through there. There's not much beautification left. This is their property. and he has no right. And I agree with the citizens and complaints that they have. He needs to be voted out of office. He's gone way beyond the perils of being able to tell people, because these are zoning areas. This is a residential zoning area. Your land, your rights.
Right. No, I totally understand, and I agree to a point with what you're saying. And clearly, the mayor is going to care about how a city looks, his city looks. That's just common knowledge. If you were the mayor, I were the mayor, anybody else were the mayor, you'd want your city to look nice. He's just thinking about, he's trying to go overboard here because of the fact that there may be I don't know. I don't live in Alabama. This is Alabama, correct? Yeah. You know, Alabama. I don't know exactly how many there are trailer parks or how many trailers are down there. I'm assuming there are quite a few down there. Not as many up. There. New Jersey, we're not used to people living in trailers. It's just that's where you live. So people that live in trailers, clearly that's the place they live at. That's where they live. It happens to be that way. Okay, so they don't want, you don't want them to lose where they live. Now, if a tornado does rummage through whatever town it rummages through, it's going to tear up whatever it's going to tear up. Now, the mayor could have a point here saying, well, does a trailer have any less of a chance being wiped away than a house? Now, he could be thinking of, as you stated, the beautification of the city, because he wants to make it look nicer, and maybe trailers degrade maybe the beautification of a town, whatever he may think. So clearly, yes, he is thinking in terms of making the town nicer in terms.
He's trying to build up property value,
tax
purposes, revenue. Right. I don't think it really has to do with a whole lot of anything else, because in the Midwest, Alabama included as well, people have retirement centers, retirement neighborhoods, and they consist of trailers. You have tons of them around here. People that retire, they live in the trailer house community, whether double wide, single wides, doesn't matter. I mean, and it's not trash. He's thinking he's at the point to where he's degrading a certain sect of people. Basically, if you can't afford to live in a $150,000 home, so he can increase your taxes, but you could afford a $5,000 trailer, doesn't mean you're trash. It just means you're living within your means. You know what you can do. Instead, he basically wants you to leave that there, leave it alone, and let it, either the land just sit there, you don't put anything on it, or you conform to his standards and you build a $150,000 home.
All right, thank you for your stamp, Ronnie. All right, we do have to head to the break on this 271st episode of the show. But before we head there, let's see what we're going to be delving into. Yeah, if you had complete control over things you could avoid in life. Yeah, life's curveballs. We have a lot of curveballs thrown at us in life. We really do. No matter where you walk, no matter where you go, over the period of 10 years, over the period of 1 year, over the period of a week, you're going to have many curveballs thrown at you. If you had control over these things before they even happened, yeah, what would they be? Such as flat tires, such as the dreaded blue screen of death. How about terminal illnesses? How about the increasingly stale set list at a Jovi concert? Yeah, well, we're going to go into this. Ronnie's compiled a list. I've compiled a list. We'll throw in some pretty funny ones here. We'll have some fun with this, as well as what do rich people do online? What do rich people do online? There's an interesting article on HuffingtonPost.com, and we're going to also dissect it and go into this a bit here. If you're rich, what do you do online as opposed to the general population? Also, your blast from the past coming up at the end of the program. Don't go anywhere, because Ronnie and I return right after the break on this 271st episode of Take Two. Stay tuned. And we're back. That is right. Ronnie and I have returned to the second segment of the show on this 271st episode of the program. And we're glad to be back. We have a lot coming up. You're not going to want to go anywhere. You're going to want to stay tuned. But before Ronnie and I delve into what we're going to be getting into, if all of you tuned in right now would be so kind, please visit www.VOnTheNet.com. That is right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you will be able to find more information regarding the network. Yeah, all you have to do is go up to the top of the website, click the About link, where you will arrive at a web page, which will provide you everything you need to know pertaining to the network in thorough detail. Now, you could also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, and they are all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. To check everything out, all you need to do is go to www.theonthenet.com. Alrighty, so we do have quite a bit to get to during the second segment of the show, and we're going to start things off with this right here, Ronnie. If we had complete control over the things in life that we would rather avoid, clearly, curveballs in life that were thrown every so often, some more than others, if you could avoid some of them, if you did have control over everything, and I'm talking about before the fact, before they even happen. Clearly, there are certain things in life we can control. We can. Literally right on the brink of something occurring. It's bound to be a negative curveball. But you have somewhat of control over whether or not that happens. But this is going to be an overall list here. We're going to talk about the overall factor. You know what I'm talking about,
yes.
Right? You know what I'm talking about. Whether it's the dreaded flat tire or the blue screen of death, you're in the middle of writing a paper for school, and your computer crashes. You would definitely like to go back in time about 5 minutes. And remember, you didn't save the paper. Luckily, with Windows, and I'm sure with Mac too, but at least with Windows and the file system, if your computer crashes and you're using Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office products tend to autosave for you. But if you don't have any of that and you didn't save and your paper is about 5 pages long and your computer crashes, you'd like to go back 5 minutes, clearly, and get that work back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I would want to avoid those missed opportunities.
Yeah.
'Cause it seems like you're always in the wrong place, the wrong time, and somebody else is already there, and you just, the missed opportunities, you try to control that to where you were there at the right time, at the right place.
True. You mean the right place at the right time?
Yes.
Yeah, but there's a long list of items that we're going to be going into here just to have some fun with this before moving into the next item on the itinerary. I mean, clearly, nobody would want to go through terminal illnesses in life. Nobody would want to, if you've been to a Jovi concert over and over and over again and you receive a stale set list, as many Jovi fans the diehards tend to complain about it. If he plays the same set, he's on autopilot, you could tell maybe. Just as a joke, really. Those of you that are listening that happen to be Jovi fanatics, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I'm going to start it off with, I've brought up, of course, the flat tire, the blue screen of death, the terminal illness, but what about other things? How about you're in the middle of a raid in the game, World of Warcraft, or one of the games that happen to have raids associated with them, and your mouse dies. Yeah. You're in the middle of the game, you're in the middle of a raid, and everybody that plays the game knows exactly how important it is to, be on.
To move.
In a raid. If your mouse dies, though, you can't move. You're not going to be moving very much. So clearly that's going to be a problem. If you could go back in time, make sure you had batteries. Usually, your mouse will have a red thing flashing, letting you know you need to change the batteries. But if it doesn't, or if you didn't know, that would suck pretty badly.
Oh yeah, very much. Been there, done that.
Yeah, it's happened to me quite a few. It's happened to me quite a few times, even though each one of my devices, each one of my mice does have a little flasher, but I guess I just ignore it. I shouldn't.
Power outages are my big issue.
Oh, yeah, you live in a place where power outages are kind of inevitable.
You could cough, and then they're going to go off.
Right.
Drives me
not
nuts.
Fun.
If I had control over that, that would not happen.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Ronnie, we live in a society where technology is all around. So if you go back to a time where technology wasn't as prevalent, power outages may not be as crucial to our lives. It's as the technology increases, it's as we use these products more and more in our lives, whereas anytime a power outage occurs, that's going to be a pain in the neck or the pain in the you-know-what in our lives. So as the technology advances, as these devices become more used in our lives, you hope that the power, the infrastructure that hosts the power and so forth improves along with the innovation of the technology that's also improving and innovating. So, yeah, I happen to live in a place where the infrastructure is very good. Ronnie, on the other hand, she loses power quite a few times over in Nebraska. Yeah.
But I have lots of candles, but it kind of irritates you because everything I do is online. I spend most of my time in studio. So either with the show, for school, a game.
Seriously. You could have all the candles you want. All the candles in the world aren't going to power World of Warcraft.
No, it's not.
Or your television.
But I can see the empty screen.
Yeah. Little does that. Little good does that do.
I know.
Really,
it's aggravating.
Well, if you live in New Jersey, you know exactly what I'm talking about right here. Missing your exit on the Parkway. Oh my goodness. Listen to Ronnie as she knows exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm sure she knows. It's horrible. And if you could be in other states too, but if you're in New Jersey, you know exactly what I'm talking about because it's like trying to find a way to turn around is not easy in New Jersey. So you have to get off at another exit. You get lost. And where you're lost in another town, you don't know how to get back to the Parkway or the freeway or the highway, wherever, and you don't know what to do. So you're trying to find a way to get back on the Parkway or the highway to get to that exit where you could just, if you could rewind your life a couple of minutes, you'd rather do that so you could get off at the right exit.
Exactly. That's where you started to learn how to drive is in New Jersey.
It's a great place to learn how to drive, as a matter of fact. While, I don't want to diss my own place, there are a lot of people that say, I hate driving in New Jersey. But I'm used to it. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, so I know how to.
Yeah.
I know how to drive in New Jersey.
Traffic jams. I don't know where it is. I don't care what time of day. There's always something. It's usually, a snail has crossed the road, so people have to stop and watch the snail cross the road. And cause this huge traffic jam where you'll see that somebody had a flat tire on the side of the road. And all of a sudden, the traffic just comes to a screeching halt. They're not doing anything. There's no accident. And you could have gotten off at any exit before that if you'd have known that there was a traffic jam up ahead.
And you notice that through many traffic jams, and if it has to do with, say, just an accident along the side of the road, it usually happens to be only one person causing the traffic jam of thousands of cars, hundreds or thousands of cars, because it all starts at the first vehicle that's slowly going by, watching the accident, looking at what's going on, and then it all follows behind, and that's what happens right there.
Yeah, or someone's pulled over, they got a ticket.
That too, yeah.
Everybody's got to get a gawk to find out, and I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, they're not fun. They're not fun. No, you just want it because you more than likely you either had a rough day at work or you've been driving for hours and you just want to get home. Yeah, and that's happened to me a lot because when my sister went out to college in Pennsylvania, it was 2.5, 3 hours away. And we were coming home from that drive, going there and then coming back and then having to deal with traffic just entering New Jersey was horrible. And even worse if you were in Pennsylvania because the roads seem to be half the size of New Jersey. So it's like, this is not cool. This is not, you're literally a half an inch away from my car, buddy. Yeah. So, it's not fun. Traffic jams, no. I would agree with you there. And I think most, if not all of those tuned in right now would agree with both of us.
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably there's several listening right now. They're in a traffic jam.
Exactly. All right, well, I've got another one for you. Your mom walks in while you have the porno channel on. Rewind. Yeah, that's not fun. Not that I would know exactly what that feels like or anything, but how many people can vouch that they're watching something on TV and doing a little something, and they have somebody walk in. You forgot to lock the door, buddy. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
Not as embarrassing, I think, as opening the door and realizing your parents or catching your parents for the first time in your life.
Was that on your list? Was that on your list?
No.
No?
Only after you mentioned that.
Yeah, because
It was like, if I could rewind, that'd be all over with.
Exactly. What would be worse, though? What would exactly be worse? Having one of your parents walk in on you while you're watching the porno channel or doing whatever you're doing, or walking in and witnessing, What would exactly be worse? That would be a great poll to put up on the website or something. What would be worse? Having one of your parents walk in on you, or you walking in on your parents? I don't know. You can't put me on the spot there. I have no idea. Although I would probably lean more towards having somebody come in and catch me personally. But both of them are keep them away. Yeah, they're up there. Seriously. Oh, do you have another one for us over there? I know you have a bunch of them, I'm sure.
The slowest cashiers in the world are always in the fast lane. Why is that?
The slowest cashiers are the slowest what? Oh, the slowest cashiers.
They'll have 10 items or less. You'll have an idiot in front of you that'll decide, you know what? I've got 17 items up there, and I'm going to take my time. And you have a person behind the cashier that is sitting there, and they have to be the slowest people out of all the cashiers that you could have gone to. Mm-hmm. And it just happens to be that one is the slowest one, and they put her in the fast lane.
Yep. You wonder how they prioritize their cashiers. Not trying to single out anybody, but some people just happen to be faster than others. So you have to, if I were the manager or the owner, I would look at that as, well, you have some work to do to speed it up, and don't take it as a sign of weakness. But if you're slow, people do want to get in and out. They want to get in and out. Yeah. They want you to do your job, and you're clearly doing your job just a bit slower than others. That's all.
Yeah, it's called a fast lane, fast checkout for a reason.
That too, yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Pet peeve.
Oh, yeah, another pet peeve of yours. I've got one for you. You fart on your first date. Oh, this is horrifying. Having to deal with that because it's a first date. Remember, it's not like it's your 5th or your 10th date. It's your first date, and it's one of those farts you can't hold in. It's one of those farts it just comes out. It's like even if you wanted to hold it in, it would be impossible because your behind was about to explode. So
you move around trying to figure out another noise that could sound just like that you can pass it off to be like.
I don't know what's worse, farting on the first date or forgetting your girlfriend's name or the girl you're with. I don't even know.
Well, I think that if you forgot your girlfriend's, it would be more painful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that because you might not have much luck after you fart on the first date. She may leave you right away. She might say, "You're rude." Or she would simply just be as embarrassed as you are. Or she's just, going to leave. Really? She's just going to leave.
Very noisily, I might add.
I guess so. What about another one, Ronnie?
Oh, I remember a time of going and jumping off the high board, and before I hit the water, I lost my top in front of pretty much everybody at the pool that I knew at school.
That really happened to you?
That really happened. I didn't reach the water, and it came off.
It's like you're diving down, and the wind is kind of playing tug of war with your top, and it wins, and
you're in the pool, and of course your top is floating
right
with the waves completely away from you, and you still can't get to it.
Similar to going into the ocean, and you're wearing a bathing suit that happens to be noticeably bigger on you, and you come out of the water, and you find out it's not on anymore. No, it's off. It's off.
You have to turn it back.
Yep, exactly. Let's see what I have here. I've got quite a few here. This happens. This was a pain when I went through high school because I had to take the bus, and my school was about 45 minutes to an hour away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're on the bus 10 minutes, and your stomach starts to cramp up on the bus. Yeah, you don't have control. You can't stop anywhere you want to go to the bathroom. So it's like you're on the bus, your stomach's cramping up, and it gets to the point where, oh boy, I have 35 minutes until I get to school. What am I going to do? That is horrible, a horrible feeling. I've actually went through that numerous times. It's not fun. No.
I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah,
No.
I dare.
No. No.
What about if you're visiting someone's house and you're opening up a cabinet and you're just kind of snooping, just for curiosity, and you get caught?
You're snooping around and you get caught by somebody?
Yeah, whoever owns the house. If you're going to a friend's house or someone that you're just visiting and go over and you go to the restroom and you open up the medicine cabinet to see just what's in there.
Yeah.
And they catch you.
Yeah, I guess that would be pretty embarrassing. What would be more embarrassing is you're going number 2 at somebody's house, whether it's a party or not, and there's no toilet paper, but there's another bathroom downstairs, so what do? That would be more embarrassing, I think. Probably a bit more embarrassing there. Yeah.
Just a tad. Yeah.
Just a tad. Yeah, while you're in the bathroom, here's a scenario for those of you to digest. You're in the bathroom at a restaurant, and you notice that an employee just left the stall next to you and didn't wash their hands. They didn't. They work at the restaurant. They're a cook or something along the lines of that. You walk back to your table, though. That same employee is working on your meal. Yeah.
Oh.
You know exactly what I'm talking about here. Not good.
Ooh.
Now what do? Do you eat the food when you get it? Nah, you take it back, please. Not cool.
No.
That's happened to me once before.
I wouldn't be able to eat it at all. Nothing. Don't be touching my food.
You'd be surprised
I
what
would probably make
happens
a scene.
behind the scenes at a restaurant, though. I've heard some stories. Whether they're true or not, I've heard some pretty crazy stories. But, yeah. What about any other? We'll get a couple more out here before moving on to the next item on the itinerary.
What happens if you're sitting there and you're talking bad about your boss because they don't like what they've made you do, and they happen to be standing right behind you? You can't take it back.
That would be pretty sucky. I guess you could pack your things and leave.
Yeah.
Manager's not going to be too happy about that. No.
There goes that raise.
Yeah, that's not fun. Not fun. How about you reach down to flush the toilet and your brand new $500 iPhone falls in? That wouldn't be fun. No, you just spent money on the darn thing. How many people have lost their cell phones alone to a phone falling in the toilet, you think? How many times, I don't know how many cell phones you've had over the course of your life, but how many times have you lost a cell phone because it fell in the toilet? Anytime?
None.
I've lost two. 2 of them because they fell. Because I have it. See, I have a nipple pocket right here. It's right near the, and falls out. Falls right out into the toilet. You reach over to flush it, and it just pops out into the toilet bowl. Yeah. Not cool. So
No,
you wouldn't
that wouldn't be
exactly
cool.
know what I'm talking about here because it's never happened to you. So
It's never happened to me, but I wouldn't want it to happen
we have
to me.
to
I wouldn't
have it
go
happen to
fishing
you.
for it.
Yeah. We have to have it happen to you. We have to have it happen to you so you know exactly what to go, what it feels like to have your cell phone fall in the toilet. And I'm sure many of you listening right now know exactly what I'm talking about, how you feel when that happens. It is not fun. How about this one? Your day has been perfect so far. Ronnie, your day's been perfect so far. And as you're walking away from your car, locking it, you walk into a pole.
Yep.
You know exactly how that must feel, Ronnie. Come on, that's happened to you before. You've walked into a pole.
Not a pole, but a window.
All right, well, regardless. I remember when I wasn't locking a door per se, but I was at school, and I was talking to a friend of mine next to me to my left. My head was turned to his side, and I rammed into a pole while we were walking away from school. We were walking somewhere. We were in a single or double file line, whatever, and I rammed into a pole. Boom. Boom. It was so embarrassing. I didn't live it down the entire middle school career for the entire time I was there. And at the end, the yearbook, I guess it was, during the 8th grade year, they placed a few of the crazy things that had happened over the last, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 4 years in middle school. And when JJ walked into a pole was one of them. Yeah. It was... I'm telling you, if I were to go back to that school, probably still is in the air.
One of
there.
those standout moments, right?
Yep, exactly. It's like it spread so quick. That event spread so quick. Geez, I'm never going to live that one down, I guess. Well, these are just some of the many things in life we would like to avoid. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go into the next item on the itinerary, move into the next item on the itinerary. But before we do so, it is time. Oh, it is time to thank our sponsor. Yeah, this portion of the 271st episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com, and we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. Listen up, folks, because we've got a great deal for you, Ronnie and I, where you don't have to risk anything. You don't have to risk a cent. Yep, over 85,000 titles to choose from at Audible. And we'll give you one free audiobook as well as a 14-day free trial to browse those 85,000 plus audiobooks to choose from. A pretty great deal if you ask me. Audibletrial.com/take2 is the link. Audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this great offer. Check out the auditory experience. You'll be glad you did. It really is an experience to try out because it's similar to watching a movie or a television show or, say, listening to audio or your favorite talk show on your computer or your MP3 player. You're listening to a lecture rather than reading a textbook. You retain the information better because you're listening to somebody. Auditory retainment. Many of us have that auditory ear. We really do. Try it for yourself. One free audiobook, a 2-week free trial. What do you have to lose? No money whatsoever. Audibletrial.com/take2. As always, we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. Once again, the link is audibletrial.com/take2. All right, so we'll spend a little time, not much on this one here because there's not really too much we can go into with this one, but we will delve into it before heading into the all-important blast from the past. What do rich people do online? An interesting article on HuffingtonPost.com, and not that I would know because I'm not rich. But we could speculate, we could contemplate as much as we can. You think about it, the internet is, well, just about anything. You can do just about anything on the internet when it comes to money. Whether you have to wait for something to ship to your house or if it's a service, you can do just about anything, whether it's online poker, whether it's porno. It's all available online. Well, you have money. Say you have $500,000, Ronnie. You have $500,000. What are you going to do online? What are you going to do? What are you going to be focusing on? Or what are some of the things you do now, hoping you could do if you had all of that money in your possession?
Well, if I had all that kind of money, I would be able to plan a big trip. I mean, multiple locations at one time. So you can plan reservations of where you're going, what kind of a hotel, the big hotels and things like that. Because you just put a price range right now at my level.
Right.
And you're going to get the basic. But that, I would be able to pick out any, even a penthouse and look around at what I want to get and plan away. I mean, talking from there, you get the limo, the whole 9 yards.
Right. It's like you don't think twice anymore.
Yeah.
Rather than if you weren't rich. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's like you're looking at this nice monitor that you want for your computer. Or you'd like to deposit $500. Well, if you're out of the United States right now, at least. You can't play poker online in the United States for money. But if you were out of the United States, since we do have a worldwide audience, you want to deposit some money in your poker account or you want to play, relax, entertainment. But you can't because you just, you have to pay the bill. If you were rich, you wouldn't think twice about that. You would deposit $25,000 and you wouldn't give a darn. They live on a different level, the rich. And you don't think twice about what you're doing. It's like, you know what? You could buy this, but you don't need it because, well, it's not necessary. The rich, they don't really think that way. And I don't want to stereotype, but I'd be willing to bet that many of them think that way. They don't think twice. And I could tell you, if I were in that position, while I would invest, which is one of the things I would do online, I wouldn't be thinking twice much of the time, if at all. Because everything is there, I could afford it. You got to do something with the money, otherwise you're going to pay it off to Uncle Sam anyway. So you might as well use it, right? I guess.
Yep. I know somebody that I used to work for, every single day they were online to look for different things for their homes as far as certain types of decorators.
Right.
And they would go and look at some of the 360 views that you would see inside somebody else's home at their previous work. So they would spend all their time looking to find out what they wanted, look up specific decorators, specific styles, or if there was a rare material that was going to be used, like when she wanted to do her sofa. She would make sure that this was not sold anywhere in the surrounding area. So she would have the one, the only one of a kind.
Yeah. If you were the head of a study and you wanted to analyze the mind of a rich person, because they clearly do live a different life than the general population, because let's face it, there are more people in the general population that are not rich versus those that are rich, clearly. So they live a different lifestyle. It's like they could live on a totally different planet, and that's how it is. They have different means of getting from point A to point B because they have money to do what they want. They could buy anything they want virtually, and it's just a different life. So analyzing them, because they're not as overwhelmed as, say, you and I or the general population, because we have to think, if we buy this, we won't be able to buy that. If we buy that, we won't be able to buy this. You understand?
Right.
It's just we have to think again and again maybe whether or not we want to purchase this. We have to look for coupons and deals because it helps us. So it's just a different way of living. It's just a different way of life for them. Now, a study that I just read right now, I just looked it up here, that the rich tend to visit adult sites more often than the general population. Why do you think that is? Well, they can afford it maybe. Yeah. Why is that? What else would it be? Are they hornier than the general population?
Yeah, but they don't have time, and they just do it right there.
Yeah. The rich has a report.
Don't want to go look for anything.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal reported that a survey from Affluence Collaborative finds that 38% of the wealthiest consumers of the population hit porn sites far higher than the remaining 23% of folks.
Well, if you think about it, look at some of the celebrities that we've had, sports stars and so forth, that if they've got all the money in the world, you think they can get any girl that they want.
Right.
Instead, they go online looking for, the call girl thing to come along, or the masseuse, so to speak. They spend it on there when they could go out there and find any girl that they wanted. Instead, they go online and look for that.
Right. No, exactly. Now, on the Huffington Post website, now, when it comes to food, the wealthy, defined as people earning over $500,000 or more a year, ooh, how nice that sounds, are far more connected to the web in terms of, what they could afford and what they would like. 61% of affluent web users use the internet to make reservations at restaurants or to check into locations, as with, say, location-based social networking services or tools such as Foursquare and so forth. In the rest of the population, 13% make online reservations and 23% use check-in sites. So if you see somebody using Foursquare, chances are they're probably rich. And if you are online and you're rich, more than likely you're going to eat out more than eat in because you could afford it. If you could afford it, Ron, no, be honest. If you were rich and it was lunch and dinner, we'll add breakfast to it too. Would you eat out pretty much every time rather than cooking yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You ask a lot of people that, and they're like, oh, I love a good home-cooked meal. If you had the money, believe me, you could go to a 5-star restaurant which would own home-cooked food. Surely, there's its own category with home-cooked food in it. Yeah, I understand that. But a 5-star restaurant, you can't shy away from that. Come on now. Come on.
That's
seriously.
True. What I've always wanted to do, one of these days I will, is to have, you always see these people that will sit there that have a lot of money and they've got multiple accounts. Just to be able to go online instead of saying, okay, gosh, I got to take this $25 and hurry up and put it in my checking account to cover this or cover that. Just to be able to transfer money. Yep. The big amounts of money from one account to another account, just to be able to do that one time.
Scraping pennies.
Without having to worry about anything being covered in another account, but multiple accounts.
Right, scraping pennies. That's what you're trying to do just to get from point A to point B. They don't, rich people don't have to do that. It's just a totally different way of living. And if you're fortunate to live that way, Whether you're lucky because your family just happens to be rich or you actually worked to get to where you are, great, good for you. We would all love to have money. We would all like to be able to have the weight of the world off of our shoulders, or weight of the world off of our shoulders. And that's just a little study here, a little research that happened to be on HuffingtonPost.com. I wanted to bring it up just briefly on this 271st episode of the show. We do have to head into the past, though. It is Blast from the Past time. So what do you say, Ronnie? We take this time machine here, and, well, we go back into the past. We've went into quite a few discussions, though, so.
Oh, lots to choose from, so I'm intrigued.
Well, we'll see what the time machine has for us today. Here we go, folks. Your Blast from the Past. I want to talk about jerks that steal holiday decorations off of lawns. How low does somebody have to stoop, Ronnie, to steal something, especially around the holidays, whether it is Christmas, whether it is Easter, whether it is Halloween? People take the time to brighten up the neighborhood by placing these decorations on their lawn, yet people steal them. We've had a few cases in my town where a group of kids just steal. They steal decorations and destroy them. I want to know how people can stoop so low to do something like that.
Yeah, we call them lawn trolls here.
Lawn trolls, exactly.
Lawn trolls.
Yep.
That happens a lot, especially at Christmas time. That they just want to take. Look how many times baby Jesus has been kidnapped out of the manger.
Isn't that sickening?
All the time. Even at churches, they go up there, they remove him from the manger and take off with him, and he's found someplace else, or sometimes not found at all. I don't know why people want to do that. It's just something. It's just like they have this nudge. They have to do it. It's to cause trouble, to cause panic, to see what the reactions are, kind of like to their handy-dandy work. Well, and really, it's insulting.
It makes me sick to my stomach, as I mentioned before, quite a few times. But the reason I bring this up, and there's actually a story on NJ.com as I state this right now, and it doesn't really have to do with decorations outside, but it has to do with stealing equipment from a restaurant on Christmas Day, okay? They stole $8,000 worth of security equipment from a restaurant not too far away from where I am right now. And it just got me thinking about people that either steal things on Christmas Day or they steal decorations, let alone on Christmas Day for that matter. And we did have a few of those cases, and it's been occurring for quite some time. It seems like every year there's a group of kids that steal decorations from people's homes, from their front lawn, from their front yards. And I just see, we decorated this year. My family decorated, and we didn't have anything that could be removed unless they were gonna, anybody that were gonna violate or screw up our lights or anything like that. Vandalize, that's the word I'm looking for. Vandalize the lights. I'd just love to see these kids so I can like tear them, rip them a new one. That irritates me. It really does. I think there, you've got people that just steal regularly because they feel they need to steal. Personally, they're low lifes. But to steal on Christmas or to steal on Easter or Halloween or any of the major holidays, that doesn't that make you want to just literally punch the hell out of these people?
Yep. Around here, get this. Christmas Day, it was a mother and two daughters. So she got both of her daughters involved in this. Yeah. Into a restaurant that was here, broke into it to steal the cookware that was in it, to steal. They actually, the security cameras were not working because, we had that ice storm that was in between. So they knew at that time that the police force is going to be down, so security is going to be down. People are not going to be paying attention. They're going to be gone. Opportune moment, and went in. But they were caught, actually, inside the restaurant taking this stuff. Wow. But they just pick the inopportune moments because they know when your guard's down, that's when they want to come in.
Oh, of course. Well, there you have it. Your blast from the past. Right, Ronnie?
Yeah, that's right. Reminds me of that gnome that keeps disappearing. There's always a gnome involved, too.
Yeah, going back to that one, and you wonder how people could stoop so low to do that. You would never do that yourself.
No.
What the heck? They're decorations. It's like, do you really need to stoop so low? What point are you trying to prove? Ridiculous. Well, one of the many discussions that Ronnie and I went into, but we do have to go. That is, well, that's all the time we have for this 271st episode of the show. I know, it's like it goes so quick.
I know. But there's another one to follow.
We'll be back yet again to do it all over with a new itinerary for all of you. And we appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the content. Till next time, much love to you all. Bye-bye, folks.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.